Has anyone ever heard of Huntington's disease? I had not heard of it until my father was diagnosed in the year 2007. My father passed away in December of 2009 from this disease, and I continue today to spread awareness by wearing blue on the first of every month. And this is my visual aid, and this is the shirt that I wear every month. And on the front, it says Fighting Huntington's Disease for my father, and it has the blue awareness flag on it, and me and my brother both wear these on the first of every month. Huntington's disease is a neurological disorder that eventually takes over a person's ability to do anything for themselves. Huntington's disease does not just affect the person that has it, it affects the person's family as well. In this speech, I will be discussing the history of the disease, the symptoms and final outcome, and how it affects the family. The first topic I will discuss will be the history of the disease. According to medicalnews.net, the first thorough description was written in 1872 by George Huntington. Huntington was one of the few people who were still accepting of Huntington's disease patients because most people thought that anyone who displayed the Huntington's disease symptoms were possessed by spirits. Some HD patients are still rejected by society and stared at while they are out in public today. Research has come a long way since they started, but there is still no cure for this awful disease. The only thing available for people with HD is a medicine that helps take the edge off the symptoms. Huntington's disease is also a terminal disease, meaning that this disease will eventually lead to death, which is usually not a very peaceful death. Now that I have shared some of the history of the disease, I will move on to the symptoms of the disease. The symptoms of Huntington's disease are similar to other diseases. As with most diseases, there are mental, physical, and emotional disorders. According to the MayoClinic.com, some of the common physical symptoms of the disease are involuntary jerking, involuntary contraction of the muscles, slow, uncoordinated movements, slurred speech, impaired posture and balance, and troubled swallowing. As you will discover also on the MayoClinic.com, the most common emotional symptoms are mood swings. Some mental symptoms of HD patients are depression, social withdrawal, excessive sleeping or insomnia, and bipolar disorder. According to HDSA.org, people with Huntington's disease can also have a hard time with short-term memory, organizing thoughts, and coping with the concentration. The first symptoms to show, which usually include speech problems and slow walking problems, usually are not very noticeable. They start off very calm and worsen as the disease progresses. This disease will eventually lead to death, as I said above. When my father was in the hospital on his deathbed, the doctors explained that there were only two ways that a person with HD dies. One is your body is overcome by a major infection, such as pneumonia, and since your immune system is compromised, then the infection will end up leading to your death. The other way is that your organs start to fail one by one. Now that I have discussed the symptoms and the final outcome of this disease, I will now tell you how it affects the family. HD affects the family in all aspects. As you can see on neurodiscovery.harvard.edu, if a person with this disease has children, then the children or child has a 50-50 chance of inheriting the disease and becoming a carrier of the gene. If you carry the gene, then you will develop the disorder in life. This disease does not skip generations. Caring for a person affected by the disease is very challenging as well. Caring for a person with HD is very expensive and time-consuming. Towards the end of life, many families choose to put their loved ones in nursing homes because the cost and time that an HD patient needs is very overwhelming. Towards the end of life, an HD patient must be put on pureed food because they lose the ability to chew. They must have help walking because they start to lose their ability to walk, and eventually they can even lose their ability to breathe on their own. Emotionally, HD takes a huge toll on families. The caregivers can become exhausted and emotionally drained. This disease also takes a financial toll on all the families because care for the HD patients is quite costly. Overall, Huntington's disease is a horrible disease that affects everyone around the person who has it. It affects the families in more than one way and can place a huge financial burden on the family. There is no cure for this disease, and in the end, it completely takes over the person's life. I hope one day there will be a cure for this terrible disease and that everyone who is affected by this disease can allow themselves to heal. I hope you learned something from this speech.